So I thought I'd make another video on some more common chord progressions that you find in jazz. Now this video is going to build on a few of the sort of ideas and the chord progressions that I covered in my earlier common chord progressions video, so go check that out if you haven't already. But it's also going to cover a whole bunch of new ones. Anyway, so let's get started. Now, one of the most common chord progressions you find in jazz is a 2-5-1. And in my earlier common chord progressions video, I covered a 2-5-1 in a major key. So that would be, in the key of C, it would be D minor 7 to G7 to C major 7. In this video, I wanted to quickly touch on a 2-5-1 in a minor key. Essentially, the only difference is that in the key of C minor, instead of playing D minor 7, you play D minor 7 flat 5. So you've got the A flat instead of the A. And you need that because the key of C minor, either harmonic or melodic, has a flat 6 in there. So it goes D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 to C minor 7. So really the only difference is you're playing that A flat instead of the A there to account for the minor key. Now another good way of playing that is D minor 7 flat 5 to G7 flat 9, which again keeps that flat, the A flat in there, so that becomes a flat there, the flat 9. And in this voicing, that's actually a rootless voicing, which sounds great as well, so there's no G in there, but it's kind of implied by the chord progression. And then moving to a C minor 6. So you go... Right, and that sounds really nice. Now the next chord progression I'm going to show you is essentially just moving from the major key to the related minor key. So from C major, you would move to the A minor. Now a lot of songs more or less just do that. They move from the major to the related minor. Like I Let a Song Go Out of My Heart essentially does more or less that. It goes something like... So there at the end it just goes from the E flat to the C minor 7. So that's the major to the related minor. So that's nice and easy. But often in jazz, instead of going straight from the major to the related minor, you put in one or two passing chords to kind of get you there. Now, one of the easiest and most common passing chords to put in is effectively the dominant 3 chord. Or from the point of view of C major, you'd put in the E7. Now that sounds really good because the C7 is in effect the dominant of the A minor, the dominant of where we're going. So in effect it acts like a secondary dominant of the A minor chord. So you go, the chord progression would then be C major 7 to E7 to A minor 7. Now songs that use that chord progression are Georgia on My Mind, so that went C major 7, E7 to A minor 7. Another good one is All of Me. So that one went C major 7, E7 to the A7 rather than A minor 7, but it's the same general idea. It's effectively a substitute chord. Another song that uses that chord progression is Sunny Side of the Street, so that goes... So that time I went C major 7 to E7 to F major 7, which is more or less a substitute for an A minor chord. The A minor's there and then you've got the F in the bass. Now you can make that relatively simple chord progression a little bit more complex by putting in effectively a secondary 2-5-1 going to the A minor 7. So you'd go C major 7 to B half diminished to C7 to A minor 7. So effectively you're substituting a full bar of E7, the 5, for a half a bar of B half diminished to half a bar of E7. So a 2-5 instead of a 5. So that's really, really similar. And effectively all those songs that I just played can use that 2-5 idea instead of just the pure 5. So again, Georgia on my mind. And so on. But then obviously there are songs that use that exact chord progression, like Come Rain or Come Shine. Or There Will Never Be Another You in the key of E flat. And so on. And Blues for Alice, which has sort of the classic bird blues changes. Or something like that. So that type of idea, moving from the major to the related minor using various passing chords, is used a lot in jazz. Now, the next common chord progression I'm going to show you is the Take the A Train chord progression, and that goes like this. So that effectively goes 2 bars of C major 7, 2 bars of D7, so that's the dominant 2 chord, which is interesting. Then D minor 7 to G7, back to C7. So obviously songs that use that chord progression are Take the A Train, and then songs like Girl from Ipanema. Now what's interesting about that chord progression is that it moves from the D7 to the D minor 7. Now that's known as a parallel minor, so a minor from the same root note essentially. So from the dominant, moving to the parallel minor. Now parallel minors are used in a lot of jazz songs, and often it's used exactly as it's used in Take the A Train or Girl from Ipanema, as a dominant 2 moving to a standard 2-5-1. So another song that does exactly that is There Will Be Another You. There's a section in there that goes like this. Right, so that little section before it sort of goes back to the beginning melody was F7 for 2 bars, F minor 7 to B7 to E flat major 7. So that's that exact chord progression, a dominant 2 going to a regular 2-5-1. Another way parallel minors are used is rather than going from the dominant chord to the minor, you can go from the major to the minor. And often that's used with the 4 chord, so going from the major 4 to the minor 4. Now that's used in the song All of Me towards the end of the song. So that effectively goes F major 7 to F minor 7, E minor 7 to A7, D minor 7 to G7 to C7. So that's your parallel minor there, your F major 7 going to F minor 7. And then it does a really, really standard jazz turnaround, effectively sort of following the cycle of fifths, so 3-6-2-5-1, or more accurately a secondary 2-5 in the key of D major, because you've got the A7 with the C sharp there, and then a primary 2-5. Another song that does exactly that is All the Things You Are. Right, or something like that. But you don't have to use parallel minors as kind of part of the cycle of fifths, which in effect those 2 examples are. You can just have them by themselves, just sort of floating there. And a great example of that is The Man I Love, which goes something like... Alright, so the very beginning of that was E flat major, going to E flat 7 quickly, then going to E flat minor, the parallel minor, and then doing other things. Another song which does that is On Green Dolphin Street, which does something like this. Right, or something like that. But essentially that sort of beginning bit just goes from C major 7 to C minor 7. Another parallel minor on the tonic. So that can often sound great, and parallel minors are found all over the place in a lot of jazz songs.